Love you, Linda. Love you.
The courthouse the other day in the hallway, you're singing "Oh Happy Day."
One word prayer. Justice, where are you?
And welcome to Justice Served TV. Oh, look, we're in the tiny boxes.
Wow,
Hello
look
there,
at how
hello there, Linda
cute.
Kitty Bodden.
You know what? I just wanted to tell you that because we have this new thing, I don't know if you can see it. I put on green eyeshadow. Can you see that?
Oh, I can almost see it.
And
Yeah.
and I had to match my. Let me just cut off my head. My new crop top, Justice Served TV in
Is that
black.
a new item? Is that a new item?
New crop top, Justice Served TV in black, on top of a Nike shirt to make it a little bit more, formal. New item. They can buy it at our merch store. Although we are now Justice Served TV, I just want to announce it to everybody. Brian and Bodden Media Company, because we'll be branching out and doing more things besides our YouTube streaming. So just want to let everybody know that for this Monday. How's that, Michael, Brian?
Very exciting. Very exciting.
That or you're stuck with me for a long time. I'm not sure which one.
I'm checking with my attorney on that, on the documents on that. See if there's some escape clause. Okay, so
can I tell everybody, Michael, Brian, and I, we're like the Four Seasons, all right? We were supposed to do all these documents, and you know what? We decided that we're going to be doing things on a handshake. So that's what we did. We want to be Frankie Valli in the Four Seasons, or I want to be Frankie. I guess I could be Frankie, and you could be Frankie too. We could both be Frankies. We could be Frankie and Frankie.
Frankie and no seasons. Yeah, I'm working on that partnership agreement. I'm sure I'll have that done any day now. Yeah, maybe for our 1-year anniversary, we'll work on that. Hey, we're about 35 or 40 away from 25,000. Who wants to be the 25,000th sub? Johnny, tell them what they've won.
Yeah,
they won't win a damn thing, but it'd be nice.
I know. We've been broaching on that 25,000. We've been sitting here. It was like when we were, on May 6th, we were 10,000. So now we're getting greedy, okay? But when we were coming up to 15,000, we were like, every day there was like one. And then all of a sudden exploded for another 9,000. So we would please hit that. Let me just say this, because usually everyone says it, and I'm embarrassed to say it. I'll sell merchandise because I love to shop, right? I mean, the more merchandise we sell, the more we can add to the store. But if you hit that subscribe button, and especially the like button, even at the like button, when you just have the thumbnail, it gets us into the algorithm for that subject of the show. And we get pushed out by YouTube. People don't understand that. And more people get to see us. And the more people that get to see us, the more people that come in our Justice Served TV family. And it's fabulous. Remember, it's free. Subscribe, like, share, and notify is free. Now, if you want to become a member, which I just did, and I don't know why it doesn't show me as a new member. Everybody else, it shows me as a new member, but not me.
I think we're going through the vetting process to see if you qualify as a member.
Okay.
Yeah. So we got a couple things going on tonight. We have some great guests to help us plow through them. Adam Lally, of course, we know he was on the stand last week. We were busy, had a number of other things happening, but we wanted to take some time to go through this because it's just more of the Norfolk County corruption and incompetence. It is amazing. So we'll touch on that. And then some update on the Brian Walshe case, obviously also from that area. But remember, we've talked a lot about that motion to suppress, which had to do with the search warrants and lack of search warrants. And so we have folks standing by that are going to take care of all of these issues. But first, before we get to that,
this is my rip and read. I have a rip and read.
I was going to say this just. I was going to say
for 3 months. Linda, you look beautiful as usual. That's my rip and read. Okay.
Yeah, very good. I was going to say this just handed me, but it was really handed to you, and then you handed it to me because I was busy making sure my hair was poofy. It's very poofy today for some reason.
Thank you, Arlene. Thank you, Arlene. Humidity. Member for 3 months. Love you both. Love you too. Thank you.
So this is a motion for an order to return property. This is in the Karen Reed case. You think it's time she get back her 2021 Lexus for herself?
Yeah, I wonder. Somebody said that they destroyed it. Now I can't imagine they destroyed it. I think they destroyed part of it. Maybe some of it can't be working. Well, she's going to get that all back. I mean, there's no There's no, she's not going to, she can get anything back. And her cell phone, where is that, huh?
Yeah. Speaking of
Is
cell phones,
Proctor, is Proctor have it and he's still looking for nudes?
he's still working his way through that cell phone.
Yeah.
And Aiden Carney, had 4 or 5 cell phones. He didn't have any of those back yet. Of course, his cases are still pending. So anyway, that was filed just today. And we'll see. And it's important to distinguish that this is not like YSL, where they had confiscation of goods that they believe were the result of illegal activity, and then you have to bring an action. It's so weird. You bring the action against the goods. So you'll see the lawsuit will be titled Jeffrey, who had most of the goods in that particular case. I guess it was Young Thug, right? He had most of the stuff. It was his house.
It must have been Jeffrey Williams.
And then you ID the watch or watches,
Right.
The car, the cat, you're making an action against the property. Very different. And in this case, it's just, you have an acquittal, unless you can somehow tie a DUI conviction to turning these over. I don't know how that would work. But it's different.
Apparently
Very
they ruined
different.
some of the car, and that's going to be an issue.
Well, yeah,
then they're going to have to pay her for the car. And I wonder if Blue Man 2 Group is going to have to maybe give their car that they bought, because that's back to her. But they're going to have to pay her for that.
It's funny. At the second jury view, where they brought the car, they had it there for the first time as well for the first trial. I wasn't looking for blue paint because they hadn't had the testimony of Blue Man Crew at that point. So it would have been interesting to get a closer look at that car to see if there was some leftover mess from his very detailed experiments. But I don't know. And we know they got into the guidance system and all of the chips. I don't know how easy that is to reconstruct. But
actually, Joey King, thank you very much again for the memberships as usual.
Hey, Joey.
But yes, this DIR, I thought Burgess said he could not put the data insurance back together, and you're right, he did. They couldn't get it back in, and that was one of the cross examinations of Alessi. So they've obviously have ruined the car. And
so what you do is you take that car, you go to the manufacturer, the dealer, and you say, fix all these things, and you submit the bill to the county. Yeah, and if you have to sue them, you sue them.
The county has to do it. I think they have to give her the car back in good condition.
I don't know. I'm not counting on that. They're going to get the car back. If I were her, I would say, give me the car back. I will take the responsibility and bill you for the repairs that have to be made.
And this
unless I get some assurance in writing that you're going to fix them before I get the car back.
I wonder how that goes. And this was filed by Steve C. Buzang, 450 Washington Street, Dedham, Massachusetts. Steve C. Buzang. Is he in Yanetti's firm, or is he a different lawyer?
Got me. I don't have my Rolodex with me.
Okay.
He's in Dedham, so he's a local dude. I'm guessing he's in Yanetti's office. That'd be my guess.
Somebody look him up. Steve C. Boozang. See if he's a new attorney or he's in Yanetti's office.
Do they have in California that you have to put your bar number?
They have a bar number.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't mean anything to me because I don't know Massachusetts how many bodies they have there. It's 659-216.
Yeah, there's bar number.
That's a drop in the ocean compared to California.
Yeah, that's right.
My bar number is 1548899, and I think they're probably well over 400,000 by now, which is ridiculous.
Well, I have too many of them. I have New York, I have New Jersey, I have the federal.
You know them all, though, right? You know your numbers.
No, I have to look them up.
You don't know your bar number?
I have them in my contacts because they're all different. I mean,
but so what? How many? You get 3? What are they? 6-digit numbers? What's your deal?
Wait a second.
Can't memorize those?
I have the federal court numbers. I have the.
You have a different number for federal court?
Yes, I have different numbers. I have different numbers because I have New York. I have
New York and New Jersey.
New York, New Jersey, United States Supreme Court. Then I have the district courts, and I have the federal courts in New York, and I have the district court in New Jersey. So I have all those.
Use your same bar number. You got to work on that. Get those memorized. Memorize those.
Jurisdictions, different bar numbers, dear.
For the state, yeah, but not for where you practice within the state. I've got Eastern District Federal Court in California. They just want my California bar number.
Well, that's really nice, But I've got it in Washington D.C. I also have Washington D.C. and
I can see that being different.
So I have four bar numbers.
Okay.
All right. Well, so
work out that memory. Okay. Here's something that I got today that you probably are unaware of. Some folks may remember on Thursday of last week we had. I was going to say Little Debbie. I love Little Debbie.
Auntie Deb.
Those little sweet cakes of various types. We had Auntie Deb on, Jimmy, and I'm figuring this is related to that somehow. I don't know why I got this though. Okay, this may sound familiar to you. This is an order for Cats Rule the Earth tarot cards. Are you familiar with this?
Yeah, I ordered it.
Are you familiar with this? Yeah.
I ordered
78
it.
card deck and guidebook. We talked about tarot cards. Jimmy reads his own tarot cards every week or so. So I'm assuming I got this through Bryant Bodden's email. So it came to me confirming your order. So you'll be happy to know your tarot cards are coming.
Well, my tarot cards are. You blew the surprise.
That was what it was.
Blew the surprise.
Is that a surprise for me or for Jimmy?
No, that was going to be when I'm supposed to appear on Jimmy's show. He wanted me this morning. I couldn't do it.
He'll never know.
Now you blew the surprise.
He'll never know.
If he's watching, if he's watching, or if someone's going to go tell him, I was going to surprise him with cat tarot cards. Okay.
I was surprised. I was very surprised when I got
said,
confirmation of my order of tarot cards.
I said, please reimburse me for this business expense.
Oh, that's what it was going to be. Okay, well, that I'll send that to the accounting department. They'll handle that.
Oh my gosh, she blew the surprise.
All right.
My gosh. Joey Kane, thank you for all the memberships. 3 of them tonight. I see already.
Yeah, Joey, I'll be back up there on the 14th. Is it? I get the date confused. I'm pretty sure it's the 14th. 13th. Whichever day it is, I'll be up there, and I'd love to have another sweet roll delivered to me personally, as he did the last time.
I can't believe he just blew the surprise. I can't believe it.
Why would I get that? It makes no sense that I would get that.
Because I sent it to you.
Well, yeah, but with no explanation or nothing.
Wait, look at the top. Look at the top. Wait, read the ray. Read the ray.
This is not a ray. This is just like a receipt.
Yeah, but because on the ray, when I sent you the receipt, I said on the top, here, let me see if I can find it. Okay? Read the ray. Okay? This is our handshake deal now. Remember this.
Yeah.
Okay, read the ray. Okay.
Let me put this away so I'll make sure you get paid for it.
Here it is.
Let me file that.
Wait. To Michael Bryant, and then I copied me. Expense this instead for Michael. Forget expensing the Zerner tarot cards. I cancel those.
I never got. Okay? I never got the word on those.
You have to read the ray. It's about. It has 2, and then it has.
I never read the subject. I go right to the guts.
That's where the subject was.
I go right to the guts.
That's why. You got the thing. So now you know the Cats Rule the Earth Tarot, 78 card deck and guidebook for the feline obsessed. And now Jimmy's going to know.
And
this is my surprise.
Because Jimmy has a lot of cats.
Because he has a lot of cats and he's into tarot cards. All right, everybody.
Okay, wait.
Typical man.
Typical man. He just blew it.
Okay, there you go.
Doesn't pay attention to his female partner.
No, only read the body. I skip right past the ray.
Okay.
So I guess we should get on to whatever we're here to do.
Yes, like real stuff. This is real stuff. This is us.
Yeah. Well, I hate to break it to you, Joe, but you're joining the show now. Sorry.
I wanted to hear more about the tarot cards with the cats on them.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time researching them because I was going to get I was going to do the really good ones from Amy Zerner, but then I saw these and I had to go cancel my Amazon order, and then I had to do this, and I thought it'd be funny and it'd be a surprise.
It'll be a great surprise.
And then I sent him. I sent him early for reimbursement, and there you go.
Yeah. That was also a surprise. Early, sending it early. Waiting for stuff from last January. Okay, so Joe, I've forgotten, but I think we're talking about Lally. Is that what we're talking about here? Is that what we're starting with?
Yeah.
I believe so.
And Michael's also here.
Oh, is he? Should we bring him on, or is this a tag team? What's the plan?
Let's bring him on. Let's bring him on.
Michael.
Hi, Mike. Hi, Linda.
Hi.
How you doing, man?
Hi. Good. How are you guys doing?
Well, we're fighting.
Yeah.
Over the tarot cards.
Yeah.
Check the tarot cards for our future. See how that looks. Okay, so we have people remember from last week in the never-ending mess of cases that are so overlapping, intertwined, that's really spin out of not just the Karen Reed case, but the Karen Reed investigation. One of them, of course, is a case that is not all that well known, and at the risk of sounding, kind of callous, it's the Myles King case, which in my reading of the details and the facts sounds kind of like either a beef or a gang revenge. There's something going on there that sounds like somebody had it out for the other guy. Guy's riding a moped, stops in a part of town. He's shot right in the chest once by the defendant, allegedly. And then there's a second defendant who is an accessory after the fact, allegedly. Anyway, that's the thrust of the case. But in the midst of all of that has come up these Rule 14 alleged violations. Everybody who's followed Karen Reed knows Rule 14, probably better than most of the attorneys there, except for Michael. It's a discovery rule that requires that the prosecution do certain things to provide the defense with material that could be exculpatory. And now, following Judge Beverly Cannoni's adjustment to that rule, there's Michael, I'd call it an affirmative duty. Would you call it that? Is that too strong?
Yes. Well, it's always been the law that you have an affirmative duty to seek out exculpatory evidence. They amended the rule to make that even more obvious, but that's always been a prosecutor's duty to do justice, to make sure that if there's a conviction, it's done fairly and that evidence isn't hidden or kept from the defense. And that's always been the rule. And now they're enforcing it more in Massachusetts, it appears.
And now they have to actually reach out they can't just rely on their own personal information. They have to reach out to anybody in the office, anybody that might have touched the investigation, and ask for that material. So that was the thrust of this hearing, in which the attorney for the defendant, and it's Rosemary, I know I'll probably mispronounce this, Scapiccio. Is that right? To Paisana, Linda Kenny?
Yes, that's right. You got it.
Oh, yeah. So she's a Spitfire. This woman.
Fabulous.
She really, I don't know how he got away as long as he did without giving her what should have been received. And we're going to hear from some of the testimony just how long and how ridiculous it was before he turned over or gave up the information he was supposed to be sharing. So we go to Mr. Lally. He is on the stand, and I will apologize for the video, not mine. If I were the pool camera, like I was last week, you'd have a much better shot. But this is a pool camera or some sort of in-house system where you'll see Lally in the witness chair, just peeking above the clerk's head. But the audio is great. You'll hear him. You'll hear the attorneys. You'll hear the court. And between all of those wonderful things, we should be able to get a sense of what exactly is going on here. So this is a point at which he's being asked, among other things, about the warrants. And guess who issued the warrants? Anybody? Proctor.
Michael Proctor. Yeah.
Proctor, yes. And so let's just listen to a little bit of that, and then we will discuss. Stand by here.
Do you remember asking Trooper Proctor for the search warrants that he did in this case?
Yes.
And the affidavits accompanying the search warrants?
Yes.
And did he provide them to you?
What I received was a partial affidavit for search warrant.
Did he provide them to you, yes or no?
Some.
How many search warrants do you recall there being in the King Gardner case?
In 2021 or beyond?
Let's start with 2021. How many search warrants? You guys have search warrants?
6.
6. Did he, when you asked, and he signed all 6 search warrants, is that fair to say?
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay. And so when did you ask Trooper Proctor for the search warrants?
In July or August of 2021 when they were filed for.
Okay. And when did you get all 6 search warrants from Trooper Proctor?
I didn't get all 6 search warrants from Trooper Proctor.
You did not?
I did not.
Okay. So did you get 1 search warrant from him?
From him specifically, I received a portion of the affidavit for search warrant 306 and the entire affidavit for search warrant 348.
Okay, so you got portions of 2 search warrants, and you knew there were 6 search warrants, is that right?
Yes.
Did you make notes somewhere in your file? Geez, I asked Trooper Proctor for these 6 search warrants. You haven't given them to me yet?
I believe, yes.
Okay, those notes are in your file?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And then when you didn't get search warrants from Trooper Proctor, Did you meet with him?
Yes, I mean, specific to that, I don't recall any specific meeting related to search warrants, but we did meet several times in relation to this investigation in this case.
But you understand that search warrants are Rule 14 automatic discovery, right? And you knew there were 6 search warrants, right?
I did.
And so when do you realize that you don't have all 6 search warrants? How long into the process? Do you know right away you don't have them all? Or do you not know for a long time you don't have them all?
I don't think I realized at that time that I didn't have them all.
So how, then I guess I'm confused about how your system works. You said you had a system where if you asked for something and you didn't get it, you would then follow up with the police officer asking again and again. Did you do that with Trooper Proctor in this case with the 6 search warrants?
Yes, I believe so.
How many times did you email Trooper Proctor asking for the 6 search warrants?
I don't know.
More than 10?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay. How far in between each email? Did you wait a month and email him again? Did you wait a week? Did you wait a day? How long in between your requests to Trooper Proctor to produce the 6 search warrants in this case?
I don't know.
You don't?
No.
Did you review your emails before you came here today?
Some of them, yes.
Did you see any emails to and from Trooper Proctor regarding the search warrants?
Yes.
How many did you see?
I don't recall.
Okay, so he's a font of information here. So let me start. We're going to move on and see some more of this. And remember the dates here. The date of the incident was July 10, 2021. 2021. Mr. King was indicted in November of that same year. So we're already going back almost 5 years. So let me start with you, Joe. Let's talk about the whole search warrant process. You know, what would normally be done, the affidavit, all of the stuff that defense is now saying they never received, and from what Mr. Lally says, he's not even sure what the hell he received.
Yes, well, when I saw this, whatever, I always say if I had hair, I'd pull it out, because it's just, it comes to a point where you just kind of throw your hands up. And, you know, so you have a search warrant, you have the search warrant affidavit, you know, it's a couple of forms on the whole thing. If once you execute your search warrant, you, the police, have to go and bring the list of things that you took with the search warrant affidavit back to the court that issued it. That's basically how we did it in New York. I'm assuming Massachusetts is the same. You know, so, but you know, you have to be careful though, because things that you have on that list, if it's not protected, right, it could get then FOIL requested, and then it could go out into the media if there's things that you don't want to show up on that thing. So yeah, you have to be mindful of that. But you know, not handing over the stuff to the district attorney. I mean, we would hand that over when we would sit down with you know, with our probable cause and say, here's the search warrant, here's what we got, this, and hand everything over then when we're talking to the prosecutor. And I can tell you, for one thing, from my experience, from running a detective squad in New York City, it would have taken one phone call from the district attorney's office to the chief of detectives, and then from the chief of detectives to my office, and going, if that search warrant isn't on the district attorney's desk in the morning, find yourself a new home, you know, that kind of thing. And I mean, it was just, I don't understand what the problem is here. Well, you know, what I can tell you is that at least he answers, I don't know, right? I prefer the I don't know answer than I don't recall answers. Because I don't know, there's nothing, you know, equivocal about it. I don't know. Like how many times did we do this? But it seems as if Proctor and his crew here, basically, you know, he had issues with the medical examiner. He has issues with the district attorney. I mean, this is no way to run a business when these are the people that you have to count on in order to get your cases closed.
You know, Michael, it sounds like if you were on the defense here and you're waiting, you know, this hearing was, you know, days ago, 4.5+ years after the incident. I mean, she's got the patience of Job here. I'm sure along the way she's been needling, but to get to this level, that's bad. I mean, what would you be doing along the way to speed this along?
You can file a motion with the court for sanctions as they've done. The search warrant process is the same in Mass as in New New York is in Massachusetts, you're supposed to return the warrant within 5 days. So where these warrants were is really a mystery. The warrant should have been returned to the court immediately. So it is shocking that they were outstanding. He didn't get them. And I agree with you. It sounds like the state police just is ignoring the DA's office. They're calling, maybe there should be, obviously there should be more follow-up, but the police department is just doing what the state trooper is just doing what he feels like doing. The law, because generally speaking, this stuff is provided, the attorney was just relying on Rule 14 and figured, okay, it's going to come. It is, the DA's office can be overworked. And there is delay sometimes, but this was egregious and she had to go to file this motion to get it. But it should have been provided much sooner, obviously.
Okay, so before I ask my question, let me just tell you that our guest, Patriotic, a great panel. I love Sergeant Giacalone and Attorney DelSignore, so that's a great compliment for you. And Joe, this is kind of like what I get. I love your glasses, Joe. We normally do Fashion Fridays, but I guess you're Fashion Forward Monday, Joe. Okay.
Are those
Yeah,
just a prop, Joe?
No, if I take these off, I can't see anything. So
Anyhow, so let me ask you this, Michael. Usually, when I've had some cases, those you ask for the discovery, and the first thing you ask for, obviously, is the search warrant, and you want the return, right, as to what was taken from your client's house. And sometimes they'll say, we're not going to give you the return yet because we're still going through things, and maybe yada yada yada. Is there any reason that they can prevent in Massachusetts from giving you delay the return that you're going to get under discovery?
Not lawfully. It should be provided to the court immediately. It's supposed to be provided back to the court immediately after the search is done. The rule provides a specific time period, so there's no reason for a long delay in the return.
And along that line, Danielle has a normal type of discovery. In other cases, didn't Massachusetts essentially codify discovery rules that are normally adhered to? And the answer to that is, I know you know this, Michael. Yes.
Yes, essentially the discovery rules are in Rule 14, requiring the government to disclose all exculpatory evidence to provide search warrants. Most of the discovery now is automatic. What defense lawyers asked for years, instead of requiring a motion and delaying the process, the rule says now just turn this stuff over. The court's going to allow it. So most of the discovery a defense attorney wants is automatic discovery.
And Joe, Levy says, and then this is asking you for New York here, can everything from 6 search warrants be excluded because of sanctions? Have you ever seen that in New York City, in New York?
no, I've never personally seen that. We never really had cases that would have to be, that. I remember I did this way before before we had social media and everything else. So we didn't have to deal with all that stuff, the FOIL requests and all that other things. But it is what it is. I mean, sometimes some investigations require that kind of secrecy to avoid it from coming out into the public, but not from the defense. I mean, the easiest fix in the world for this, and I still can't believe that we have Brady violations, all over the place. Electronic case management. I mean, New York City we did it 10 years ago, and everything is online. And the district attorneys, he or she can just go right into the case file and pick whatever they want. I mean, if you notice, I mean, New York City is huge, and we don't have these kind of discovery issues between the cops and the district attorney's office. And I always tell people, they ask why. I said, electronic case management. Everybody's got access to it.
Yeah. And Michael DelSignore, before Michael goes on, one more question to you. Can and should, and why would Morrissey's office assign Lally to Karen Reed and to this case, which are almost simultaneous? Not quite, because it's about a year difference. But, you assigned to this case, and then you assigned to Karen Reed. Why would you do that?
It did seem like he was doing way more work than he should have been doing. I'm shocked he tried the first Karen Reed case by himself, given the magnitude of that case, to not have a co-counsel and then to have another murder case. Yeah. Attorney Lally's been put in a very bad position by the office. It's an understaffed office where they just don't have enough experienced DAs, and he's taken the brunt of the criticism for the office when really a lot of this criticism against him should be directed at the head DA, Morrissey.
Morrissey, yeah. And I believe this case was handed off. I don't know the exact timing, but it was handed off at one point for the exact reason you mentioned, Michael. So, and to Lee B's point, when we talk about sanctions, possible sanctions, they can go as far as terminating sanctions, which means, sorry, pal, your case is over. And we effectively saw that in the Alec Baldwin case out of New Mexico, where there was a violation by the special prosecutor and failing to turn over those extra bullets. Remember that? And the court said, you're done. This is
Well, it was even worse than that, because remember, that special prosecutor.
Yeah, she put him in a different file.
She put him under a different number so they wouldn't be associated with the Alec Baldwin case. Not only did she not turn him over, she hid them.
So, I mean, that's justifies terminating sanctions. But then you get anything from monetary sanctions. You can get evidentiary sanctions where certain things would not be allowed, but other things would be. So that begins with, as I get ready for this next little chunk. So the attorney here, I keep getting her name, Rosemary Scapaccio. She's doing what she has to do. So ultimately, of course, she has to file a motion. And how effective was that?
Discovery notice. You know for sure that there are certain categories of information that we're looking for, right?
Yes,
And number one is all automatic mandatory discovery under Rule 14, right?
correct.
Would you consider those search warrants automatic mandatory discovery under Rule 14?
And she's talking about her motion that she brought.
Okay. And we were looking for any and all statements of witnesses, is that right?
Yes,
And we were looking for all exculpatory information, whether
The
tangible.
document speaks for itself.
Okay, that's fine, Judge. So after I filed this motion to December of 2021, you have another conversation with Trooper Proctor saying, give me the 6 search warrants.
I'm sure I did. My general practice is if there is any discovery motion that's filed by counsel, what I'll do is I'll send that to the appropriate police personnel as far as making requests and making sure that they're apprised of what's been at least asked for.
Excuse me. And did you do that in this case? Did you send my motion for discovery to Trooper Proctor, to the Milton Police, to the crime lab, to the medical examiner's office? Did you send it to all of those entities?
Every motion that you filed, yes.
Okay. And then what do you do to follow up with each of those entities? Let's start with the state police. They get a copy of my discovery motion. You're looking for all of the evidence that they have, and specifically these 6 search warrants that, for whatever reason, Trooper Proctor hasn't given you. When you follow up, how long does it take you to follow up from the time that you give them the motion until you get an answer from them?
Specifically, I don't know. Typically, I would give it a couple of weeks or so.
And after a couple, and in this case, did you give it a couple of weeks, you think?
Probably.
Okay. And then what happens?
And then I'll follow up again.
When you say follow up, do you send another email, or do you get in your car and drive down there and say, we got to end this, give me this stuff?
I email or a phone call.
Okay. And so did you email or phone call, or make a phone call to Trooper Proctor in this case?
I'm sure I did.
And what was his response
I don't
when you
recall.
asked for the 6 search warrants?
I don't recall.
Well, do you have any notes of your conversation with him? Remember you taking notes?
I don't believe so, no.
Is there a reason?
That's a big sigh. I mean, the guy's just so incompetent and lazy. When she said, did you email? Did you call? Did you go down there? There's no way this guy went down there. He's not going anywhere. I mean, my gut feeling is just I hate to say this because it sounds like I'm maligning all government employees. It's not true. He's a bad government employee. He's a guy that wants to be a 9-to-5 or in a job that's not a 9-to-5 job. You know, you do what you need to do to prepare your case, present your case, and represent the state or the Commonwealth. He's just a 9-to-5 guy. When I saw him outside the courthouse, it was 5 o'clock or so. It was between 5 and 6 when we did our show from Dedham one day. He's out on the street there having a butt. And I just asked him how it was going. It's going to be a long night. That's because he's a 9-to-5 mentality guy. And for him, he's there after 5 o'clock. It's not a good day. And this is what you get.
Yeah. Well, I don't give him that kind of credibility. I don't know how, what would you guys feel? Because I still come from listening to Karen Reed, and he allowed the special prosecutor, Hank Brennan, to lie to the jury. Okay. He knew the holes in, and let's go back to Karen Reed. He knew the holes in the back of that shirt were not caused by road rash. They were caused by the lab, because he had tried the first case. He knew the lab reports, and he let that happen. Okay. And the defense hadn't gone up there and done cross-examination and objected and all. He would have just sat there. He and McLaughlin. So I don't give him a pass. I don't think it's just that
I don't
lazy.
give him a pass.
I know you do, but I don't give him a pass. I think
it's
because I think he should be fired. I mean, I think there should be, I said this before, ethics charges against him. He allowed Hank Brennan to lie about Yannetti giving the Court TV interview. He allowed another lie with regard to the discovery, with regard to whether or not the Ark of Discovery had been turned over in Karen Reed when Hank Brennan said it. And he allowed Hank Brennan to talk about those holes being road rash. And so that's 3 times. And as far as I'm concerned, he's just not incompetent. He's a liar. And as far as I'm concerned, there should be ethics charges against him. And we can talk about Ms. McLaughlin later on. But that's where I'm coming from.
So, Joe, do you, if you're in the law enforcement seat, I'm not going to say Proctor's seat because nobody should be in that seat, but if you're in the law enforcement seat, how many times does the prosecuting attorney have to reach out to you for that information?
It would have been once for something. I mean, but here's the thing: like, how many? If the person is stonewalling you or not giving you what you want, how many more emails are you going to send them? I mean, we're going to write them a nasty email. Like, is that going to help? I mean, at this point, like I said, you got to pull your Karen move. Call his boss and say, "Hey, I'm trying to get this paperwork from this guy. It's a homicide case. This isn't like a jaywalking thing. I need these search warrants. You're making me look bad. I want them tomorrow. If not, I'm going right to the colonel or whoever's in charge. And then we're gonna burn this whole place to the ground." I mean, it gets to a point where you just kind of say to yourself, how many times are you going to try to go to the same person and get your stuff if you're not going to get it?
And Michael, what he said was interesting there when he said he sent every motion on. He would just, that was his, to him that was doing his job. Oh, here's another motion, and he would just send it on to Proctor or Tully or whoever else, and that's it, done my thing. I don't know how many motions there were, to tell you the truth, but he recognized that there were many motions, and he just passed them along. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's just the culture in the office, how they're trained. They're not trained.
Something's wrong with your mic, Michael DelSignore. Something's wrong with your mic.
Oh, is that mic?
Yeah, it sounds a little underwater.
Nope, something's wrong with your mic. I don't know what's going on. We can't hear you. You're buzzing. You have a Godfather tone to you. You may have to reboot. You may have to reboot your computer and get back on.
No, it's still it's that underwater sound that we hear on occasion.
Yeah.
Let me while you're working that out, let's look at another piece of video. Let me zoom ahead here to a point where it puts everything in perspective in terms of the timing and the effort or lack thereof of Linda suggesting I've given the guy a pass. I'm not giving the guy a pass. I didn't
say you were giving a pass. I'm just saying that as far as I was concerned, he should be. I was just coming.
I don't know why he has a job. That's
I know
number one. Why does this guy still have a job? Okay, so keep the timing on this in mind here. Remember, the date of the incident was in July of 21. Indictment in November that year.
Before you play it, Mike.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to get to it in the video, but if not, just remind me before we end the show today. Lally says something during this whole thing that's actually kind of interesting when he has to finally come up with an answer. So just remind me if we don't hear it,
because we might not. Is it toward the end? Is it toward the end?
I don't remember exactly where it is.
Okay, and there is so much in here that I guarantee I may have missed it or we aren't going to get to it. But this is the point at which he's asked about kind of the realization that he hasn't gotten everything he needs. Let me get that up here for you.
But maybe you want to cover new ground.
Oh, wait, whoops.
I'm just trying to figure out, let me ask a question.
Here we go.
So when do you realize that you never turned over the search warrants? When do you realize that?
As far as the 2021
Back up. When did you get the search warrant in your custody?
in my custody,
Yes.
I would say probably I became aware of it about a month ago.
A month ago.
Yes.
That's it.
July of 2025, or June of 2025,
Yes.
is the first time you became aware that you didn't turn over the search
4
warrant?
years later.
Yes. If I had been aware earlier, then I would have turned over the search warrants.
Of course,
But you
not
had
my
your list,
problem.
Right? You had your list that said 6 search warrants outstanding, right?
Yes.
You didn't ever check that off, right?
No.
So you knew they were outstanding, right?
Yes.
Okay.
He's
And
got a
then-
checklist.
Well, she went to great lengths early on. It was a great maneuver too, to find out what his practice was. How does he do this? Well, I have a list. Even his description was, kind of elementary school. I have a list, and I just check stuff off when it comes in. Not exactly electronic document keeping.
But
And
that
so
was the point I was talking about. I mean,
yeah.
you find out about this a month ago, and this was 4 years ago. I mean,
Yeah, and so she's setting him up for this moment. Well, what do you mean? You had your list. Wouldn't you be checking stuff off your list? And so a month ago, 4.5 years after the case began, he finally realizes, don't have everything. It's just outrageous. And I have to assume they didn't finish with him, and they're going to have, we know Proctor was a no-show this day, which of course is another problem. But they're supposed to come back week after. Is it next week? Yeah, next week, right? The 4th, 5th, 6th, somewhere in there. And Proctor's supposed to show up. He was on vacation. Sorry. And they'll finish with Lally as well. And I'm assuming that they'll get to the point where, what he's going to throw Proctor under the bus. That's my guess, because he's made all these efforts to reach out to Proctor, sent him everything. Proctor's the bad guy. He never responded. I got all kinds of cases going on. I got stuff up in the air. I can't be following up and wiping these guys' asses. They need to, give me what they've got once I've made the request, or twice, or 3 times, or 6 times. That's my guess. That's what's going to happen.
well, I think you're right. Anyway, we saw him, basically tee up witness after witness in the first trial. I mean, he was setting people up. Talk about throwing people under the bus. He needs some shoulder surgery. I mean, it's just like
threw out my shoulder.
Great line.
I mean, the whole thing with Proctor now. I mean, if like I said, this isn't going to be the only case that we're going to be talking about.
No,
Because there's probably a line at the courthouse, looking for, some angle somewhere along the line. Any case this guy touched, as well as others. I mean, and you have to understand that's the way it goes. But this is like fundamental or rudimentary, however you want to talk about it. I'm no lawyer, but you have to just understand that if you don't have these documents, and the police are the ones that are supposed to give them to you, I guarantee you, when he asked for the medical, he asked for the autopsy reports, I guarantee he got those right away.
yeah.
Guaranteed.
Too bad the county spent $500,000 on Hank Brennan, because they could use that money to get somebody in there to sort this out, and all of the cases that either going to have to be retried or in some way fixed.
How about the lawsuits that are going to be coming?
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's just it's going to be one thing after another.
Yep.
Joe, in the YSL case, we saw at some point it got so bad that the court ordered that the whole DA's office that was assigned to that case had to take courses on Brady. They were assigned to take remedial courses on what Brady means and what you have to turn over. I can't believe in this day and age that lawyers don't know. I mean, or that police officers don't know what has to be turned over and when it has to be turned over. It's mind-boggling to me that we've come this far. And, how many years past O.J. Simpson are we? How many years does anyone remember?
Well, do you really think that they don't know, or they're just blowing off their obligation, really? And I think the judge saying,
right?
yeah, the judge says, oh, go take these classes. Well, what is that? I mean,
If I recall correctly, though, Brady versus Maryland was like 1963.
Oh, yeah.
So forget about OJ, right? I mean, we're talking ancient history here. We're talking things that we, and this is a topic that I always go over in my classes, because when we're talking about search warrants and the different aspects of criminal investigation, and then about Brady material, and then you had I think there's a California case, the Tennyson case, which forces the police to hand over everything to the district attorney. I mean, this is basic 101 investigative stuff. I don't understand why this is an issue.
Exactly why it's still an issue. We have a question from Kyle Sharkey. New Rule 14, if certain personnel are not a part of the NDAO anymore, would they still have to get all communications regarding the case turned over? Well, I guess if they quit, then their obligations to get things over doesn't exist. However, I would argue if they're watching something and they know something exists, then they have an obligation to at least go back to the office and tell the chief of office, hey, when I was on that case, that existed and that should be turned over. I mean, that would be my argument, that your duty doesn't really end if you hear of something that has not been turned over and you know it exists. I don't know if there's a case on that or not, but I don't know if it's so easy,
Right thing. Versus being, statutorily required to do it. You would just do it. It's the right thing to do.
Right. If you know it.
So check this out. Can you check that out? See what this is? Can you see that?
Kyle Sharkey.
There you go. This is his mug.
That's your mug? Oh,
it's getting ready to go out the door. On Thursday, Kyle, one of two people identified where in the world I was. And so that's ready to go out the door there.
I thought you went to the post office already.
Well, I have a problem with that one. It's going to Canada. So anytime they go out of the country, there's always extra paperwork, and I didn't have it ready to go.
Okay. Yeah. Sheila Duffy is always our joke. Poor Sheila.
Yes,
because she's in Ireland and she hasn't gotten her mug yet. Nicole Kelly, if you're ever unsure about Brady, you don't ask someone, what do I do? You think these cops work from home and talk to no one? Oh, Joe, they talk to right? You're training them. That's the whole point.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I've written about this. I've talked about this. I mean, it's just. Well, listen, I mean, we could go all day about retraining for the Massachusetts State Police for sure. I mean, there is a golden opportunity that the governor has and the colonel has in order to revamp this and really make an effort to try to change this, because everything from soup to nuts went wrong in the both cases.
In both cases. And we still have more stuff to go here on just before we even get to the Walsh case on Proctor's motion, right, for clarification.
Oh, should we talk about that real quick?
Yeah, why don't we talk about that real quick? Because I'd love to have Joe's input on this one too. Before we get to the Walsh case, which is another whole.
I know we can touch on the Walsh case. We'll have to get into it more deeply.
We're going to touch
time.
on it just because of a motion that happened, the suppression order that happened, and we're going to touch on tonight. But this is really Lally. By the way, I mean, even hearing Lally's voice, I mean, I don't even need to see him. I know the camera angle is the most ridiculous thing, that we're just looking at nobody.
They've seen the clerk, it's very bizarre.
Yeah.
And we only see the attorney. She approaches once or twice to show him something to refresh his recollection. I remember that back and forth, and he said, no, it doesn't really refresh my recollection, but if that's what the transcript says, okay. So this is the motion by Proctor to and to get a protective order for his private cell phone. Now, I think it's ironic that Proctor would be wanting to protect his private cell phone in light of things we saw in the Karen Reed case. I don't know. Is this something that this is filed in the same case, the Myles King case. Is he going to get protection for some of the material in his cell phone? What do you think, LKB?
No.
And he's a third party.
No.
He's not a party to this in any way.
I know that, but the problem is I think the court's going to order an in-camera review, given the fact that there's a history that his personal cell phone has shit on it. Let's put it bluntly. We wouldn't even known about it in the Karen Reed case had the feds not get it, because that's how, and Joe can tell me if I'm right or wrong, my experience is that how police officers now talk. They don't use in the old days, you had the handheld radios and all. They're using their personal, they're not even using their issued cell phones a lot of the time. If they got something they want to say that's quiet, they're using their personal cell phones. They're not supposed to. And I think that's how the feds got Proctor, because they were getting to get into his personal cell phone. Now, it turns out that he changed in February of 2024 his cell phone and did not preserve his old phone, he says. So now he doesn't want anybody in his new phone because it's not appropriate, because it's now 2024. All right. So, Joe, what do you think?
Yeah, this is a red flag for every investigator out there. You don't use your personal phone for anything. And this was something that we always stress. As a matter of fact, in our patrol guide, it even specifically says that if you use your cell phone and we find out about it, or the district attorney finds out about it, it's going to be vouchered, it's going to be secured as evidence, and then you're going to have to wait for the district attorney to send out a release. So if you took a crime scene photo, if you recorded an interview, you did something like that, unless it was an emergency, right? So, you were at a crime scene and this crime scene unit wasn't there, and we have a rainstorm flood, and you took crime scene photos, that's something that could be excusable. But
Mhm.
if you do something like this and you get caught, they're going to take your phone, and the district attorney's going to have to hold on to
It
it.
just seems to be so much a part of the whole arrogant attitude, that, I do what I want, when I want, where I need to. And if it hadn't been for the federal investigation, nobody would have known. And he would have gotten away with it. And who knows how many cases he's done this kind of backdoor, discussion of a given case with people that he shouldn't be talking to a case about. Michael, you're back.
Which makes me ask, and Michael's back at the right time, if indeed his personal cell phone was gone through in Karen Reed, and we now have this order that's going to be in the Brian Walshe case with regard to destruction of the federal documents, but it may apply also to the King case. Why is it that that anything from his old cell phone that was preserved under the federal order for the Karen Reed case doesn't come forward in the King case? Does that make sense to you, Michael?
Yes, I think it should. I think that the phone did go through the DA's office, so they're responsible for disclosing, investigating whether any of those text messages show, racial bias or show a bias in the investigation. They now have evidence of a bias in another case. I think Rule 14 requires them to investigate it. I don't think they can just turn it, pass it off as just a one-off. It could have been a pattern and practice of bias investigations throughout all of his cases. So I think a phone record should be disclosed. So each of these, I think there's about 4 murder cases that he has left. So each of those 4 defendants can see if there's any bias in his investigation in their case.
Yeah,
What about
have you ever seen anything like this before, where you have, thank goodness for that other organization, that other law enforcement organization, the FBI, where they've done the investigation they've done, and so much of the information they've gathered has such an impact on a number of cases. And now the feds have said, well, you don't need to destroy all that. You need to destroy it. And so you've got all these defendants weighing in, including the Myles King case, including the Brian Walshe case, saying, whoa, you can't just destroy that stuff out of hand. What if there's some stuff in there that helps us? And that's the stalemate we're looking at right now, Joe. Have you ever seen that kind of interagency dilemma?
No, this is something that would be totally new for me. We never really experienced anything like this in regards to, an investigation that you have. But I guess they're going with where there's smoke, there's fire. And I think that eventually, I think that the defense attorneys in these cases are going to win that argument and saying, let's hold up here. We've already seen it once. And, look at my clients, and we need to look at this because there might be something there that might help us. And I think eventually they'll win that out. They'll get it in front of the right judge, he or she is going to be like, all right, guys, come on, what are we doing here?
And here's one more wrinkle. Let me throw this in, LKB, because we're going to talk more about this later in the week, I think. Laura McLaughlin, who was co-counsel in the Karen Reed case, is now on the Brian Walshe case. So she has seen all of this stuff from the feds, all of the stuff to be destroyed. And it puts her in a position where she's kind of like the in-camera person, like she's the taint, police. She knows what's in it, but she's prohibited from talking about it. To me, this is one reason you don't overlap these attorneys in these cases. Wouldn't it just be easier to just pull her out of this mess and keep her sanitized from any case that might have the tentacles of Karen Reed and the FBI investigation from reaching her? Because, what's going to happen? I think she has to conflict out. Michael, you have any thoughts on that?
Well, it's a good point. And she is responsible for all of her knowledge of Proctor from the Reed case. But because she's in the office, I think even if she wasn't on the case, they'd still be held to asking her what she knows. I don't think they can hide by the fact that, well, this is someone else's case. But that is a good point. She's got a very high bar to say that she doesn't know now that she's already been on the other case. So I think she's got a a duty to say exactly what is in those phone records to the extent she knows.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, one question to each of you. Joe, you said they got 4 more murder cases, but what about all the other murder cases that Proctor had in the past?
Yeah, like I said, I think defense attorneys are going to be lining up if they haven't done so already. You know, any case that you have a situation where you have, I mean, you have a woman or anything like that in the case, you know, because we already saw what he did with Karen Reed. And listen, this is what defense attorneys, you know, get paid to do, right? Find something that they're going to be able to get their client off. And right now, Proctor is the gift that keeps on giving.
And then to you, Michael, Michelle has a great question. Did Lally not expect the case to go to trial? How can a prosecutor bring charges without the paper trail of the hard evidence in hand? Seems dishonest. Was Lally expecting a plea?
That's a good point.
Great question.
Here's my thought on that before you guys weigh in. As I mentioned up top, it's, you know, I'm not trying to minimize, it's a murder case, it's horrible, but the parties, the nature of the crime, it sounds to me like one that they might put in that other pile. Like, we'll get rid of this case, we'll resolve this case. Not like a Karen Reed type case with all the different factors involved there. So, Joe, is that, you know, is that a part of the analysis? You know, do they look at the type of crime, the players, the likelihood that that it'll go to trial versus resolution?
Well, I mean, the district attorney is always looking to see if there's going to, you know, if they could get a plea out of the deal. But here's the deal. If you're going to think that this case is not going to go to trial and the person's going to take a plea, then they should have the overwhelming evidence put in front of their defense attorney to say, this is what we got. You know what? It's up to you guys. I've been willing to listen, and I've been in those rooms, you know, I've been there when they're talking about this stuff, you know, like, hey, here it is. Knock yourself out. And
that's a great point. That's a great point, because that's what you do as a defense attorney. Sometimes you say to your client, you see these 7,000 pages here? Guess what?
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing I can do. We better, if you did this, because you can't, you know, you don't ask them if they did. If you did this, I will try to get you the best deal I can. Let me know what you want to do after you read this, right? That's
you don't do that by holding stuff back.
You don't do it by holding stuff back. So Michael, I'm going to answer 2 Michaels this, actually. This is really interesting. And Michael, you actually highlighted it on this whole motion, which was entitled Third Party Michael Proctor's Motion for Clarification of Court's Memorandum and Order dated June 17, 2025, and for protective order. Now, he seeks a protective order on the basis that pursuant to the court's order, Mr. Proctor now asserts spousal privilege and moves this court to issue a protective order instructing that any communication contained on his personal cell phone or information derived from his personal cell phone that are privileged between himself and his wife be withheld from disclosure. So let me go to you first, Michael. Brian. Is that done by a taint team? Is that reviewed by a taint team?
Yeah, that's interesting. Could be. And all disclosure here, Dizzy highlighted that because I just got it before we went on the air. So she highlighted that.
Okay, thanks, Diz.
Yes, thanks, Diz. But yeah, I think it's an interesting wrinkle. I don't know if it wins the day, but certainly somebody's going to have to go through the phone and make that determination. Same with any attorney-client privilege information that might be in there. Somebody is going to have to go through the phone and before it's turned over, if it is turned over, and decide what is and isn't protected.
So, Michael DelSignore, you practice in this jurisdiction. Is he right? Is Proctor right? Or what if he's saying something about other cases to his wife with regard, like something like this? And I'm not going to use the word. We got another one of these people that, you know, did this crime, okay, a racial thing, and he says it to his wife. Is that protected?
No, I think the defendant's Sixth Amendment rights, the right to a fair trial, are going to trump his right to privacy with his wife. I think that's correct. Like they'll review the text in camera, the texts about it from he and his wife about picking up the kids, things like that. No one cares about those texts about if he's talking to his wife about cases, which I think we would have every reason to believe he would, given his prior text. Then if there's something that shows a bias, that should come out.
Forrest Dump says Joe, Proctor and Lally work in the same building in Canton.
And that was brought up in this hearing. It's like you can walk down the hall. It was ridiculous. At one
Makes even
point
less sense.
one point on the trial prep, to me, if your attorney isn't prepping for trial from day one, get another attorney. And obviously, if you're with the Commonwealth or the state, it's not as easy to make that switch. But to me, I'm getting ready for trial day one. May never have to go, may have the goods to resolve it short of trial, but you got to be preparing from day one.
Well, I mean, listen, I've been on the record for a couple of times during the first trial specifically and saying, doesn't anybody do trial prep anymore with these witnesses? I mean, he seems to be asking questions and doing things. And I don't know if you caught the bit I did. I said, even on this one, I don't think he was prepared for this. I said, my statement was he looked like me in algebra class. I mean, just totally lost.
Did you not do your homework, Mr. G?
No,
did you not do your homework?
I suck at math. So, I mean, it just, but I'm just like watching this going, dude, you're a district attorney and you can't answer some of these basic questions. And if you notice, he went from the I don't know stuff to the I don't recall stuff, which is, I think, is a bad look. Sorry.
To say it mildly. By the way, Michael DelSignore practices in Massachusetts. He's been our go-to person in Massachusetts. Is there anything you see that's going to save Lally here?
Well, I think that the judge definitely is going to order the discovery to be provided, but I think he's going to it's the office culture. I don't think he was properly trained. I think, as I said, I think he was put in a really difficult spot. If the judge excludes Proctor, I think there in some of these other cases there may be evidence that they can prove the cases without Proctor more easily than they could in the Karen Reed case. But as far as I just think it's really the culture of the office. Like we were talking about in the cross, she was saying, did you go down to the police department? You just sent emails. I just think that's how they were trained and taught. I don't think they were taught to confront the state police, say, hey, we're a prosecutor here. They haven't been ingrained in them that their duty isn't just to win case, to be on the side of the police, but to be a representative of the public and promote justice and say, hey, I'm not going to tolerate this. I'll dismiss this case. No process. Instead, I think it just shows the state police had way too much power in Massachusetts, and the DAs need to be taught that they run the show and not the police officers.
They should try to get some cases in the People's Republic of the Bronx. I mean, you guys try that. I did that for so many years. Good luck with that.
That's a riot. That's great. What a difference between. Do you think it's a difference between the small town Joe, Sarge? So the Sarge is so popular here, and the small town, which seems to be very political, and the fact that we have like a New York. I mean, we're large, right? In New York, in New Jersey, we're large. I mean, things. You do things. I think politics is there in terms of making decisions, but somehow the politics here seems to be like, well, it's all good old, we're not going to make any waves here. We're, everyone's
well, I mean, yes and no, right? Yes, in the respect that of course you have these smaller places, everyone knows each other, so yeah, politics is pretty big. However, the stuff that we're talking about state officials now. We're talking about, I mean, one of the things that they have, what I don't like, and we could discuss this on another day, or you could bring in maybe if you know somebody who's a medical examiner.
I happen to do. He's in his office right now.
Why does the state of Massachusetts have under this public safety department, whatever it is, like the forensic is under them? The forensics, the ME should be a total separate non-entity for anything else other than what they do with death investigations, and that's it. They shouldn't have to answer really to anybody in the police department or under this whole umbrella thing. I don't like the way that looks. I mean, just look at our model in New York City. We don't have it set up like that.
Yeah, and I don't like some of the counties in California, having been out there. Some counties have the coroner system and they're independent, and other counties, the coroner, the forensic pathologist, is in the office where the police are. They're actually under the local sheriff. So,
well, it's kind of like that here with the Massachusetts thing, and that's the problem. Because remember, we had the whole argument about, this is not undetermined. this is a homicide, right? I mean, which is another issue where you have a case that wasn't even listed as a homicide and you're prosecuting it for murder, which really makes no sense. What what do I know?
Yeah. Here's something scary too. That Lally, this is his only job he's ever had right out of law school. 20 plus years in this office. So whatever bad things he's learned along the way, and Morrissey didn't go in until 2011. So he predates Morrissey by about 8-9 years. And Morrissey had plenty of time to look at this guy and make corrections if he thought he needed to, but guess he didn't. And so, Lally just kept lallying along, and that's what you get.
Speaking about lallying along and incompetence and all, speaking about all of this stuff, we have, and we're going to be talking more about this case, and we're going to be talking a lot more about the next case. We're just going to touch on this because there was an order that came down Friday in the Brian Walshe case, which both of you have been on and both of you have talked about, and it's a suppression order. Michael, Brian, you want to tell us what happened, just so we can tease it?
Yeah, let's just touch on
it for our Thursday show when we go into it fully.
Just for background for folks, of course, this is the case in which Brian Walshe is accused in the murder and dismembering of his wife. Anna disappeared one morning. She had an emergency trip to go back to Washington, D.C., where she was splitting time. Also, just happened to have a boyfriend there.
January 1st. It was January 1st. Right.
They were together at the New Year's Eve party the night before. Happy. Everybody's having a good time. Some are saying now that was just a ruse just to make it look like, well, he had no motive to take her out because look how happy they were. Anyway, as a result of the searches in this case and perhaps the overreach in some of those searches, there was a huge motion to suppress some of the information pulled from cell phones and mini iPads, one that the 6-year-old kid owned, which helped the police nail down Brian Walshe, his movements, his trash dumping, his searching at stores for products that he needed. So the big question was, we were talking about it nonstop, it seems, how important it would be if this suppression is granted, what evidence is left, what do they got to work with? And I kept saying, the court, because of the nature of this case, it's outrageous. This guy's a monster based on the evidence we now know they've got, whether it was illegally obtained or not. We know it's there. There's going to be this weighing on the court to find a way to let this information in. And effectively, that's what's happened. She has found probable cause in virtually all of the 13 search warrants. All she has minimized is a tracker that was put on the mom's Volkswagen. Just put it on there. You just walk by somebody's house.
By who?
By Proctor.
I was going to ask Joe. And
I almost don't have to mention his name anymore. Just you hear something totally wrong, totally inappropriate. Oh, Proctor. Or maybe Tully, because that was his supervisor. So, yeah, apparently he said, well, that car was one that was available to Brian Walshe. Therefore, good enough. Let's put a tracker on it. And the court said, no, you got to have more than that. You have to have some evidence the car was somehow used in connection with what he did. The one thing they suppressed was cell phone information from December 30 and 31, not from January 1 and to the 8th, I think was the end of that request. But those first 2 days, because they predated any crime. I think that's kind of a thin reason to pair that out, because there could have been some preparation and there were some searches that were pretty incriminating that took place prior to the first. But that was the only thing that she suppressed. So let me start with you, Michael. What are you surprised, first of all, because had she granted the motion in its entirety, it would have gutted the case?
No, I think you're correct. I think that there's a tendency to try to be result oriented when you think the evidence is solid in the case. You think the defendant's a danger to the community. It's much more difficult for a judge to say, I'm going to suppress all this evidence and let him go free, given it wasn't just a murder case, but the atrocious nature of what happened. So I wasn't surprised that she basically kept most of the evidence in.
So, Joe, let me ask you, and I think we asked Michael Easter this the other day, former FBI special agent. Is it common for you to get consent to search something and then maybe turn it into a formal search warrant later?
When you're dealing with a homicide case, our rule was forget about the piece of paper for consent or the verbal stuff. When in doubt, fill it out. That's basically what it is. Get the search warrant. We're not talking about a minor crime here. If you're talking about like a homicide or other major investigation, just get the paperwork done. I mean, come on already. It's just after a while, you just kind of like say to yourself, yeah, it's a shortcut, but you know what? That shortcut's going to give you a headache. And you're also dealing with another factor here with this Walsh case. You're dealing with a no body homicide case. So that adds another wrinkle to this. So if you have anything that could upset the evidence apple cart, this whole case goes south. I mean, it's as simple as that. You don't have a body. I mean, we all know that she's no longer here. I mean, we can all pretty much, speculate that until the day's done.
I think the hacksaw with the piece of bone on it in the rug from the living room in the dumpster next to the mother's house may prove that she ain't no longer here.
Right. No, I mean, listen, she's not here. But the issue is you're still dealing with a no body case.
Right.
And, we know that we know that juries want to hear that you found the body and everything else that goes along with it.
Yeah.
So you have to be real careful.
Not that they won't convict, but yeah, you can't just ignore it. You can't ignore the fact. People should read this 36 pages if they want. The judge goes into great effort to really talk about a lot of the evidence that was found, before she basically says, it's coming in. I'm surprised, Joe, you're probably not, at how stupid some of these defendants can be when it comes to this cleanup, being able to track their movements, going to mom's place to use her dumpster. I mean, some things they just seem so stupid to me.
I made a career over other people's stupidity. I mean, it's just that's the way it goes, right? I mean, you don't have to be lucky. You can just be good in that respect. And say, listen, this person is going to do something stupid. And, they've already done something stupid. Listen, when you choose murder as the answer to your problem, you set these wheels in motion that you just can't stop. And it's as simple as that. So if that was your best answer to your problem, you're gonna get yours, and that's the bottom line.
Yeah, and there was also other things, Michael DelSignore, and we talked about it with Mike Easter the other day. The iPad it was bought by the grandmother for the 6-year-old. So really, the grandmother and the 6-year-old will have no standing, right? Because the case is not being brought against them. Even if this search warrant was invalid as to them, they had no standing to bring an allegation and tell people why.
So someone that needs standing to challenge a search. So if it's not your privacy interest, it's not your Fourth Amendment interest. You have to have property interest in what's being searched. And if you don't, the court could say you don't have standing, and then the evidence would come in despite a possible Fourth Amendment violation.
So I have a question for you, Michael Bryant. The searches that he did, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yep, we're all very familiar with those now.
We're all familiar with those.
Crazy list.
She suppressed when? She suppressed from, let me see.
If you look at it, most of them are Jan 1, Jan 2, Jan 3.
Okay.
Those are all in.
They wanted the suppression from January 1st to January 8th. She denied that. She only denied up until January 1st, right?
Yep.
Right.
Just really the 30th and 31st of December were the only days covered that she didn't allow.
Because that could have been somebody who could have been a missing person, although she was still not missing on the 31st. So we start with January 1st to January 4th, and we start with how long before a body starts to smell as the first search on the phone. So that gets allowed in, right?
That's in. Oh, yeah, all of this stuff. And some of these were on one of the mini iPads. So
I have a question about that, though. Maybe Mike DelSignore. If you have this, what happens if there's different Apple IDs used to sign into the device, right? So you have the Brian's got his own Apple ID, and maybe the kid's got his own, or the grandmother used hers for his because she's paying for some plan. Does that make a difference?
I don't think they would distinguish between different logins. I think they would go by the device. It goes by the device. I think that's how they would rule on something like that.
I guess that could be an issue if they were able to track certain, in this case, searches to somebody's Apple ID. And it's such a proprietary thing, that Apple ID. My son and I somehow are still on the same Apple ID, even though he's out and about on his own now. And so when we're in various applications that go through Apple, we have to sign in, like I'm always, did you change the password? Is it a new number? Because I don't know how it happened and we can't get extricated from it. So, but I could see how somebody might make that argument that, hey, that wasn't under my ID. It's on that device, I think it's a loser argument. I think you're right, Michael, but it's something that you might see somebody raise that.
Yeah, it's worth arguing.
Yeah, and then also they have him on the Home Depot January 2nd. Spend $450 in cash. I don't know if Home Depot wants to put this as an advertising for mops, a bucket, goggles, tarps, a hatchet, and baking soda.
Yeah, a lot of
Okay.
baking soda. Joe, do you know any idea what the baking soda does? Does that help clean things up? Is that help?
Trying to
what
get
does that
white
do?
teeth, I think. Trying to make his teeth
well,
white.
speaking about you member teeth, it says, can you identify a body with broken teeth? Maybe he was trying to whiten those teeth.
Oh,
They wouldn't.
God.
So
Yeah, some of those
forensic
searches were, yeah,
forensic odontologists could say they weren't
very
teeth.
damaging.
Yeah,
Oh
I mean,
my
the thought
gosh.
process going into that search is scary. It really is.
It's really.
Let me ask you this. This was in January. This was at 1:21:47 p.m. Is it better to throw away crime scene clothes or wash them, Joe?
I'm not going to tell you the answer to that question.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, well, I guess you could ask Brian Kohlberger because he did a pretty good job there.
Oh, we're going to talk about him on Wednesday. By the way, Mag in Florida, FKR, the Mendacity wire troopers allowed to approve search warrants. Michael DelSignore, they're really not, right? They have to get a judge, right?
Yes, clerk, magistrate, or a judge has to approve a search warrant. They just fill out the application, and then it goes in front of a judge or a clerk magistrate.
Yeah, it's not that easy.
It's
I mean,
right.
is it true, Joe, that there are, like the friendly judges that you would go to work with versus others? Like, I know this guy's more likely to help us. For a woman.
If you find one in the Bronx, let me know.
They're all hard asses.
Yeah, sign me up. I mean, well, we had riding DAs too. So I mean, we had a DA that is on duty 24 hours a day. They had I'm going to date myself. They had a beeper, and if they had a homicide at 2 o'clock in the morning, you beep them, and then they would contact you. And sometimes they'd come to the precinct if they were bored, and then. So any search warrants and stuff like that. But if you needed something for like terrorism, so if you're the Joint Terrorism Task Force, I mean, there's a judge for that 24 hours a day under the Patriot Act. So you're different with different things. But I'm telling you right now, you're not waking up a judge at 3 o'clock in the morning to execute a search warrant. They'll tell you wait till the morning. I'll be there.
You mean it's not like Law and Order where they knock on the door and the judge comes to the door. He's all, oh yeah, and he just scratches his name on the warrant.
Good luck.
Okay.
Good luck with that.
So, Joe, let me ask you this. Although, let me just, somebody, AB says, I'm talking over everybody. My job is to try to keep this conversation going, so just so you know. So let me ask you this, Joe. We had, when I was in the prosecutor's office, we could call and get an oral search warrant approval, okay? Is that still a thing?
Not so much. I don't think today, but back in the day, like I said, it depends on what it was. If there was an emergency exception, right, you could just go with the emergency exception in that respect. But if there was something about, destruction of evidence, but you got emergency exception, you don't need a warrant, right? So, like you say, the young man knows the rule, the old man knows the exceptions, and it's just having that information about what you're going to do. I mean, television kind of screws up a lot of people with this, they knock on the door. You hear that? Oh, someone's calling for help and they're smashing in the door. Yeah, like that doesn't happen. Well, I'd have to care, right? I mean, at that point, I don't really care. I'll wait.
Okay, great. So, Michael DelSignore, do you think that with this, do you think there are going to be plea negotiations? Let's talk first on Walsh, and yeah, we're going to go into Walsh deeply on Thursday. But if you were sitting there right now, and this is your client, would you talk to your client about plea negotiations, or would you say this is a really bad ruling? We're going to end up taking it up on appeal, so why don't we roll the dice and take it to trial?
I think that they have other motions, but yeah, I think this is a case that's going to be one lost at the motion stage. If it goes to trial, based on what we know, it looks like he'd probably be convicted if the evidence comes in. My guess is there's probably nothing on the table really for him to plead to. So I think he has to take this to trial and then go through the appellate process. I'd be surprised if there's really an appeal, a plea negotiation that isn't going to put him in jail the rest of his life.
Yeah. No death penalty in Massachusetts, so no bargaining chip there. It's not going to help him.
Yeah, take it to trial, YSL. So, Joe, then let's talk about the King case with everything that you're seeing. Do you think the King case, which seems to also be somebody who people tend to think, is guilty and all, and that the goods are there to prove guilt, given all the problems? What do you think in terms of being a police investigator?
Well, he got caught in front of this guy's house with a loaded gun before. So, that was something that you had to kind of factor into this whole thing. And then then he gets arrested for shooting and killing this guy. So I think there was some motive there for sure. But like everything else, if you have a major malfunction with the district attorney in regards to some of this paperwork and the discovery, you really put this into a bad light. And what's going on in Massachusetts right now is like, everybody's got their pitchforks and lanterns with the district attorney's office, and I think it's just something that they are. I mean, remember we got Burchemore on the list coming up too. I mean, this is gonna make the Salem witch trials look like it was a a fun evening.
Yeah.
It's getting ugly.
Does it surprise you that Morrissey has just kind of got his neck bowed and doesn't seem to care? I mean, he shows up at the parades waving and smiling at everybody.
Well, I guess he's up for election, right? So I guess
and those in the know suggest he's going to get reelected. Right.
Good luck.
I mean, well, there's a lot happening between now and I'm assuming the election's November of next year. Does that sound right? Does that sound right, Michael?
Yeah, it sounds right. Yeah.
And Burchemore, Joe, as you know, has a federal court hearing again, supposedly on Monday. It's scheduled. I don't know if it's going to go. As everyone knows, my husband was the first one to look at the civil case hired by the civil attorneys and said, in his opinion, this ain't no suicide. This is a homicide. They don't say, as you know, medical examiners, forensic pathologists don't say who did it. They just say what their opinion is. Then the feds came with their own person, Dr. Smock, who said it was also a homicide. They arrested Matthew Farwell. They've charged him with murder of a witness in a federal case. And yet Norfolk County, Joe Giacalone is saying still that this is a suicide, relying on the medical examiner's office, who said they're not going to change their opinion that this is a suicide, even though her phone stopped moving before Farwell left the apartment that night. So
we got video surveillance of him too, right? They only showed us a snippet of that, so we don't know exactly what other video surveillance exists. There's a key card entry system into this thing too, so there's a lot of different. And if you had the video camera inside the place, I'm sure there's one at the front door also. So there's going to be some other surprises, I think, that we hear about. But
we'll be following that too.
Yeah.
If there's not a deal, I think it could be a deal. And if we see this hearing pushed again, leads you to think maybe there is something happening.
Well, death penalty possibility on the table. We saw what happened in Coburg.
Right, it's federal.
That we're going to be discussing, Coburg State. We're going to be discussing on Wednesday, because I have questions. I have questions as to why they didn't ask for a proffer before they took the death penalty off. The proffer with them as to where the knife is. How did he target them? Why did he target them? I would want those proffers, because I think taking a death penalty off the table is a big deal. And we saw it in the Natalie Holloway case that they did that proffer with the feds, but apparently the state decided not to go there. So we're going to talk
I blasted
about
Thompson for that. It just seemed lazy, and I can't believe that was a sticking point for the defendant. But we'll get into that. Hey guys, a pleasure. We just can't stop talking about stuff going on in Norfolk County. Sorry, Michael. You're not in Norfolk County, though. We make that clear, right?
I go a little of everywhere. I've done quite a bit of work in Norfolk County.
Well, you can't go there ever again. We've made that.
Have someone else start your car.
You're done.
That's right. That's right. Okay, guys. Thanks.
Right.
Hope we can call on you again.
Yeah,
Take
anytime.
care.
Nice seeing you, Mike. Nice seeing you, Linda. Nice talking to you, Joe.
You too,
Take
Mike.
care, guys.
Take care, guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Boy,
wow,
so
they're
much
good
going
guys.
on up there. Yeah, they're
They're
great.
good guys, and we were going back and forth on like four different cases at the end, and they're just great. Joe Giacalone is great. The Sarge, I think we have.
Yeah, check out his show if you guys haven't already. Check it out. Subscribe, do all of those things you're supposed to do.
To our shows, subscribe,
to our show too.
and all. And then tomorrow night, shall we talk about the week?
Yeah, go ahead and do that. I'm going to check something real quick.
Tomorrow night, we have another very special show, because tomorrow night the feds are filing, the Department of Justice in New York, their briefs and paperwork in federal court as to why the grand jury transcripts relating to Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's friend, who's been convicted of sex trafficking and got 20 years, why those grand jury transcripts shouldn't be released. We know the Florida transcripts, the judge decided, no, they're not getting released. So we'll see what's going to happen with that. But we have very special guests to talk about this. Is it the federal government going to try to get names of politicians who are of a different political party, or people that are big wigs or actors or whatever, to have her say these people are involved, and then she goes from limited immunity that she got to talk to the deputy AG to get out with a pardon of some sort? Is she going to exonerate President Trump in some way to get a pardon? Or is she just going to tell everything she knows, and they're going to say, hey, it's good enough, it's not good enough, she's going to stay in jail for 20 years, and Ghislaine Maxwell. So our very special guest to discuss this is Mark Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein's brother, who we did a whole hour interview with last week or 2 weeks ago. If you haven't seen it, you probably should, as a run-up to this. And also Doug Weinstein, one of our favorite attorneys, who took the case of Giacalone to trial in YSL. And he's going to be on because he's been very critical of the Trump administration of how they're handling this issue with Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. Michael Bryan and I, we both think that Jeffrey Epstein was offed in jail. As you all know, my husband watched the first autopsy for the brother, and his feeling was that the findings were more consistent with homicide rather than suicide. Michael Bryan and I can go further than that because, you know, we're commentators and journalists, and we've watched other stuff, and we just think, hey, come on.
And the most recent stuff released, you know, the footage, which was a joke, and the belief that there's no other information is just, you know, it's just so arrogant to make us think that, oh, thanks for telling us. Guess we can just move on now. So it's not a political issue. It's a true crime issue, and that's why we're into it. And now, you know, Ghislaine Maxwell meets with the DOJ. They talk for, you know, 6 hours over 2 days, and she's supposedly answered every question. And that means, I'm sure, she gave names, because if you were asking her questions, wouldn't some of them be, who were you associating with? Who was associating with these underage girls? Of course. Right. The question is, to your point, to what end?
To what end? Right.
To what end? And do they believe her? Or do they need to get corroborating information before they give her anything?
Right. So. And then Wednesday we have.
Oh gosh, don't ask me. Oh, the Kohlberger case, right?
Right, the Brian Kohlberger case, and we're going to have behavioral. We're going to try to have a behavioral scientist on to talk about that. And
they have started to release the information a little bit here and there. Some of it is just frightening.
Right,
you should read it all. Police reports, the witness affidavits from Dylan, who was the one who literally bumped into him, bumped into Kohlberger that night. Just a chilling story, because it takes you right there in that minute, in that moment, in that place. So we'll get into some of those documents that have been released.
Right, and then Thursday. We're going to go back into the Walsh case, I think, and really do that more in depth.
Yeah, maybe that 36 pages is so full of information, and of course the court's ruling, which we've now talked about. But the information, I don't know how this guy walks away from this thing. I don't know.
And then Friday is
Fridelson Friday coming up. We're going to do Sigfredo Garcia. He was, of course, the trigger man in the case against the Adelson clan, as we continue as the Adelsons turn on one another. So that'll be Friday. We'll do that one as we ramp up toward Donna Adelson, the mom's trial, August 19th. Jury selection begins. They're going to be done by September 15th, they say.
Yeah.
We'll be down there at some point in that process.
Yeah. Jason Hodges says Maxwell's testifying in front of Congress since August 11th. But the problem is that she's going to have immunity. Okay, because that's going to be, you're just not going to be, Congress can't just subpoena her without immunity. And quite frankly, if I'm her attorney, I'm wanting more than that at this point. I'm wanting a lot more than just immunity to go testify before Congress. All right.
That's not a great deal. That's not a great deal.
That's not a great deal at all.
No.
Absolutely not a great deal at all. So we have a lot that is going on now, and I may be on anti-Deb one day this week. You have to keep checking in the mornings. Yep. Maybe he'll forget that Michael Bryan wanted to know why I was charging.
You're assuming he's watched. I would not go with that assumption.
All right, let's hope not. Hope not. Okay, so we'll check in every morning at 9 o'clock.
Still mad at me. Okay.
No, I'm not. I'm never mad at you. I'm never mad at you.
All right, we got a lot going. Good work there. And I guess we'll do something again tomorrow, right?
Right. And
Okay.
in the meantime, you know, if you all, I don't know, did we go over, did we get finally over 25,000? I can't even tell anymore.
We're creeping up on it. We're creeping up
If
on
all
it.
of you are here and are participating in the chat, would just hit that subscribe, like,
We're about
share.
14 away.
14,
like
come on.
that.
All we need is 14 of you to smash that button.
Yeah,
Aiden
yeah,
Carney would say, smash that button, smash that
wait.
button.
Yeah, we're just going to sit here. Nope, not there yet.
Yeah, Lisa Davies says, Linda, you've got to pop on one of the live streams of Anti-Deb. I was supposed to be popping on Friday, and then I had a live. He asked me to pop on this morning, but I couldn't pop on this morning. Is he on tomorrow? Maybe I'll pop on tomorrow.
I think he does it every morning, doesn't he?
Yeah, at 9 o'clock. But because, you know, I was supposed to do the surprise. This is what I was prepping for, to pop on.
Right already with the surprise.
Maybe I'll pop on when we hit 25,000 subscribers on our show. Okay,
that could happen any moment now.
Yeah, and the media, by the way, we've rebranded. We are now the Justice Serve TV, a Brian and Bodden media company, because we have a lot of things in the works that we'll be talking to you about as they come up soon. In the meantime,
I'll spoil whatever the surprise may be. Don't worry.
you'll find me wearing a lot of Justice Serve TV merch from our merch store.
All right, till next time. I'm Michael Bryant, trying to do the right thing.
See you tomorrow.
And then I should hit this button right here.